The Ringing Cedars, Series 2, Anastasia, Book 1, Vladimir Megre. I asked the old man, "How many years have you been grinding your piece of cedar?" 93, answered the old man. "And how old are you?" 119. I didn't believe the answer then. The old man looked like he was 75 years old. The old man either didn't sense my doubts, or he didn't pay attention to them. Somewhat disturbed, he began to assure me that he, a piece of cedar, polished only by man himself, would become beautiful in 3 years, and then more and more beautiful, especially in women. The body of its owner will spread a pleasant, beneficial aroma, comparable to nothing artificially created by man. A very pleasant smell indeed spread from the old men. I smelled it, even though I smoke and, like all smokers, my sense of smell is surely weakened. And one more oddity. Unexpectedly, I began to notice phrases in the speech of strangers, which are not characteristic of the inhabitants of the remote north. I remember some of them even now, even the intonation. The old man said, "God created the cedar to absorb the energies of the universe. A man in a state of love radiates. In fractions of a second, this radiation rises up to the planets that pass over man and returns to Earth and gives life to everything that exists. The Sun is one of the planets that by no means reflects the entire spectrum of this radiation. Man sends only rays of light into space. Only beneficial radiation returns to Earth from space. A dark radiation spreads from a man who was under the influence of evil feelings. Dark radiation cannot rise up, but reaches the depths of the Earth. Reflecting from the interior of the Earth, it returns to the surface in the form of volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, wars. The reflected dark radiation will eventually succeed in stimulating the effect of the air on man, which will immediately intensify in him his own evil feelings. Cedar lives 550 years. With its millions of needle-like leaves, day and night it receives and collects in itself the energy of light, its entire spectrum. During the life of a cedar, all bodies move over it, reflecting the energy of light. Even in the smallest piece of cedar, there is more beneficial energy for man than in all, taken together, artificial energy plants on Earth. Cedar receives the energy that man sends through the universe, stores it, and when it is needed, sends it on. It sends it on when there is not enough of it in the universe, that is, in man, in everything that lives and grows on Earth. Although rare, there are cedars that receive, but do not send back the received energy. After 500 years of their existence, they start ringing, vibrating. They speak like this with their silent bell. They give a sign like this, whether people would accept them and cut them down in order to use the collected energy on Earth. So the cedar prays with its bell. He prays for 3 years. If he does not connect with a living person, after 3 years, because he is not able to send what he received to the cosmos, he will not be able to give it directly to a person. Then he starts burning the energy in himself. This painful burning dying process in him lasts for 27 years. We recently found such a cedar. We have confirmed that it has been ringing for 2 years. It rings softly, very quiet. Maybe he wants to talk about his request for a long time, but he only has 1 year left. It should be cut and distributed to people. The old man spoke for a long time, and I listened to him for some reason. The voice of the unusual old Siberian sometimes sounded slightly assured, sometimes agitated, and when he was agitated, he quickly scraped his piece of cedar with his fingertips, almost as if he were playing lightly on some kind of musical instrument. It was cold on the shore. The autumn wind was blowing from the river. The cold wind blew in gusts against the gray hair of the bare-headed old men, but the old man who was talking had his old coat and shirt unbuttoned. He was still scraping with his fingertips his piece of cedar that he hung on his chest, exposed to the wind. I was still struggling to understand its meaning. An associate of my company, Lydia Petrovna, got off the ship and onto the shore. She said that everyone had already gathered on the ship. They were ready to leave and were waiting for me to finish the conversation. I said goodbye to the old men and quickly got on the side of the ship. I could not comply with their request for 2 reasons. Keeping the ship, even for 3 days, would end in heavy losses. Everything that the old men told then, I attributed to their superfluous superstition.